You're listening to a special edition Zweig podcast, putting architectural, engineering, planning, and environmental consulting guru Mark Zweig and his team of experts straight talk in your ear. Mark has more than 30 years of experience helping AEP and environmental firms thrive, and these podcasts deliver his invaluable management, industry, client, and HR advice directly to you, free of charge. The Zweig Letter and the Zweig Letter podcasts let you develop professionally wherever you are.
Hey everyone, and thank you for joining Zweig Group Media and the Zweig Letter exclusive interview series. With almost 25 years of continuous coverage of the design industry, the Zweig Letter is a constant in an ever-changing marketplace. We are bringing you some of the best and brightest minds that our industry has to offer. Today, I'm pleased to welcome Wayne Wegman, CEO of Passero Associates, based in Rochester, New York. It sounds like Passero, but it's actually Passero. And so I want to make that distinction for those of you out there that are looking at the name. And I said it incorrectly, and Wayne was quick to correct me, and I appreciate him for doing that. Wayne, it's great to have you join us on the Zweig Letter interview series. Why don't you tell the audience something very unique about your firm that is not proprietary information, but also may not be common knowledge about Passero Associates?
Well, thank you very much, Randy. I do appreciate the opportunity to talk to you and be on this program. I think what may not be common knowledge about our firm is really how we grew over the past decade, actually about 15 years. And that was when we got into what I call a niche market of airport consulting. We started representing some local airports in our regional area. We began at the Greater Rochester International Airport doing landside work, but then developed a knowledge of the airport industry and the funding programs, the AIP funding program. And now we work at over 40 airports in 6 states now. We just were selected in Indiana, which is the 6th state in which we represent airports. So that's really how we started to grow and reach out beyond the Rochester, Monroe County market.
Okay. What was the impetus for that? Was it just that specific first job that you did and you just said, this was fun, let's just move in to see what else we could do as far as that was concerned?
Yeah, it was. It was an introduction to that industry and how airports operate. And then from that, we developed actually a strategy to grow that market. And through that, we picked up about 4 or 5 airports in New York were picked up. We were selected to work at 4 or 5 airports in New York. And then from there, we grew.
Okay. All right, good. Well, I think that's really exciting. When I was reading about that and I saw that information, I said, man, you guys have really, you've made a way. And I've been to Rochester before, and of course we know the history of the city. And at one point in time there was a very large company there. Actually, there have been several large Fortune 100 companies that have been based out of Rochester, New York, and it's a beautiful part of the country, beautiful part of upstate New York, and it's interesting, and it's always exciting to see firms that are kind of rekindling that entrepreneurial spirit that has actually existed in the town of Rochester for more than 100 years. So, and I'm sure you feel that way.
I do. The spin-offs from Kodak, Xerox, and Bausch & Lomb created a lot of small business. It brought intellectual capital to our area. And as a result, I think this area has been stable, at least from an employment standpoint, because of that.
Yeah, that's awesome. So listen, the first thing I want to do, obviously, is I want to really congratulate Passero for receiving a Hot Firm Award at our annual Hot Firm event, which was held just in September in Phoenix. That is a tremendous achievement for your firm, and so I know you guys are probably excited about that award and what it means to your organization. But have you thought about how you were hoping to leverage that acknowledgement? Yes, we do bookmark our collateral now with being a hot firm, and what we feel is probably more important is being a best firm to work for. We were in 2014 recognized by you as
number 16th, and then last year, number 15. And that we really coveted that award, and we really communicate that, because that's what it's about in terms of what I believe.
Yeah. So, I mean, you guys are about 85 people right now.
That's correct.
And you've got offices up in Rochester. You've got, I know you have Florida. Where are your other locations?
Yes, we have 2 offices in Florida. We have an office in Rochester and one in Albany, New York, and we also have an office in Dayton, Ohio.
Okay, all right. So, I mean, with the, utilizing that leverage of the best firm to work for, and obviously for those that aren't aware, our best firm to work for program, we basically send out a survey to the employees. So you as the firm, as the leader, you don't necessarily get to cajole or encourage someone to respond one way or the other. It's a total blind survey that we do with the employees of a firm to really get the skinny on how a company operates and what they're doing successfully, what's working, what's not working. We ask people to be as transparent as possible, and then we grade companies based on that information that we received. And so based on that grade, obviously your firm won a Best Firm to Work For award in your organizational category, which I think is tremendous because, again, we have a lot of people that respond to that Best Firm to Work For award, but not everybody gets it. And so it speaks volumes to your organization and a testament to you as a leader that you have people that feel so strongly about the culture and about the organization. And so, with that said, talk to me a little bit about how important culture is within a firm like yours, where you started in Rochester, but now you've expanded out, and so you've got these locations in Ohio and Florida and elsewhere, and so where once you could literally walk around and touch everybody in the firm. That's not as simple anymore. And so what have you done to preserve that culture there in your organization?
Well, our size of 85 people with 5 offices, it is possible to touch all of them, all our employee base. But I'll give you an example. We have, in the end of January, we'll have our annual State of the Firm address. And we hold it here in Rochester because that's the majority population of our employees. But we fly in the rest of our office employees from Florida, from Ohio, with their spouses, and make a 2-day event out of it. And we feel that's well worth the investment because it really helps the employees get connected, and more than just a work environment, but in a social environment. And we get to rejoice on things like Zweig Group's best firms to work for, so it's all good, but we think it's more. Our focus is more on employee engagement than perhaps employee satisfaction. And by that I mean getting employees together and having them spend time.
Yeah, talking with each other and. Yeah, that's true. So, no, I think that's really awesome, and I think it's important for firms to hear that because we're always encouraging companies to bring all their people together when and where possible. I mean, we've got clients that have 1,300 plus employees at 50 locations. That sometimes can be difficult, and so when you have like you say 85 people, and I'm assuming that you get around to those different offices fairly frequently, or at least a lot of the leaders in the organization do. But I think it's just important for people to kind of hear that there's something to be said for bringing people together at least once a year, and maybe when possible, even more. I know right here at Zweig, back in the day, we were able to bring people together. Apologize, my phone's going off. We were able to bring people together twice a year. We would bring them together at the end of the year as an acknowledgement of how we had done for the year and just kind of a pep talk for the new year and what all the lines of business and what their plans were. And then we also did a summer get together, which was even more fun. We'd have like water fights, and we'd just pull out all the stops, and that to me, like you said, is a type of engagement that we don't see enough of in the design industry. And I think it's important to preserve and maintain and grow that culture, is to have that type of engagement with your employees. So
it's also, I think, important to understand what employees want and try to provide that in the work environment. For example, we have several employees that don't work your typical 40 hours a week, 8 to 5. Especially young mothers who come in and sometimes work 35 hours. I know someone who works 30 hours. Some of our people take Friday off, and we try to accommodate that. That's I guess it's probably cliche to say this, but our only asset are our employees, and we try to really focus on them and satisfy their needs.
And I think it's important. I mean, you stated it correctly, and it sounds like, without me even asking, you guys have decided that you want to give your people the flexibility, that you trust your employees to get the job done, right? And then at the end of the day, that you're giving them the flexibility to do what they need to do, because we all understand the I would call some way the blurring of work and home, right? Because we've got these devices right here, and I'm holding up my cell phone, and I can respond to a client 24/7. I'm always accessible, and it's that idea that if you are always on, one of the things that you would hope for from an employee perspective is that your employer would give you that flexibility to not be micromanaging everything that you do, because you are getting your jobs done and you're taking care of what needs to be taken care of, and you don't have to worry about all the other factors that are involved with the process. So.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Another example, Randy, is in our Dayton, Ohio office, we have 3 individuals that live in the Cincinnati area. So we opened a remote office in Cincinnati, which really isn't their home base, but it allows them during times of inclement weather or for other reasons to have a base to work out of, so they don't have to take the hour commute to get to Dayton every day.
Yeah, I was about to say, because Dayton and Cincy, they're not terribly far apart, but it's
an hour.
Yeah, it's a definite
an hour
drive.
Each way.
So yeah,
I guess if you live in a metropolitan New York area, that's nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
But here in Rochester, where you're 20 minutes from anything, that's a long haul.
It is a long haul. So, well, that's good. I mean, in that vein, do you think that has attributed to your it's a direct attribution, that your flexibility with the work environment, to the factor that you've been able to grow your organization by 40% organically, which is something that I read somewhere, and it basically, I think it was in a Zweig Letter article, but I think that's astounding. I mean, and my background is in recruiting and executive search work, and I got to tell you, that's pretty impressive. That really is.
Yeah, we are proud of it. And yes, it does, I believe, have a lot to do with the culture that we have here. Because you need good talent. You need the professionals to be able to grow, to serve the clients. I won't underestimate how much of a factor the economy is, obviously, in growth. But we've done it, and we've done it by reputation and by providing good product and serving our clients right. So, we've been very blessed to have that type of growth rate.
That's awesome. So tell me this then, do you offer a referral bonus for employees that refer other employees?
We do.
All right. Is that explored quite vigorously with some of your people? Or?
Yeah, it is. It's best to know who you might be, or at least have a firsthand reference to whomever you might consider employing. And we feel it's a win-win for the employee and for us.
Okay. All right. Well, that's good. So, yeah. I mean, it certainly does help, and like I said, I mean, nowadays, firms need to go above and beyond to do whatever they can do to engage the employee wherever they are and really encourage them to grow within their profession. And so with that said, and I do want to come back to this whole idea of the unique things that you guys are doing to kind of help your firm grow. But talk to me a little bit about this whole idea of just continuously learning. Because when I read that statement about you and why you consider yourself a continuous learner, that, there's nothing, like they say, you can teach an old dog new tricks. And I'm not calling you an old dog. I'm just saying,
I am an old dog.
I'm just saying that, if you're not learning, I almost feel like there's a part of you that may be dying inside. And I'm constantly looking forward to learning as much as I can. And I'm not allowing age to define, where I stop learning. So talk about that a little bit.
Well, it's probably has to do with the progression of my career. I started with Passero Associates in '77, and then became a partner in '86. And then in the late '80s, we got into the early '90s, we got into the airport business. So I engaged in that. But I think where I really learned the value of learning and the necessity to learn is when I became president in 2005. I'm an engineer, and I'm not a business leader. And I had a lot to learn to make that transition successful. So I seeked outside help. I got coaching. I went to leadership development courses. I belong to Vistage right now, if you've heard of that organization. And I agree with you, Randy. As soon as you stop learning, you really quit providing value at a leadership level to your company. And so I'm a big proponent of it. I'm a slow learner, so I got to constantly be learning and constantly seek out advice and help, and so I do.
Yeah. Well, I always tell people, and I appreciate you sharing that. I think it's important to recognize that, and this, like your father or maybe my grandfather might have had a different experience when it comes to that learning process, meaning that they physically have to go into a building. You and I can pull up our cell phones and we've got the world at our fingertips now. I'm constantly watching a YouTube video on how to do anything, whether it's something related to work or it's just how to figure out my Nest thermostat at home. There's just so much information out there that's available to us nowadays. There's almost no excuse. And so I certainly encourage people to take advantage of that. And it sounds like that certainly is something that you believe in very strongly. With that said, do you have some type of Passero University there where you train your people? What does that look like?
Yeah, we have what we call Passero University, which are lunch and learns, and they're more technically focused. But 3 years ago, I developed and instituted a leadership development program. It's called PAL, P-A-L, Passero Associates Leadership. And we took our manager level, director level, and went through a 5-month leadership development course. We had 5 different curriculums, once a month. And at the beginning, it was to focus on self-assessment, self-improvement. And, we had a marketing curriculum to it. And so it turned out to be more successful than I envisioned it would be. And the participants really appreciate it. So then we've gone down to the next level of leadership, our management level, our project managers, and taken them through a similar course, maybe not exactly the same. But every year we want to take a group of people and take them through a leadership development course. It also includes firm operations, firm finances, things like that. So, we found it to be very helpful, and it is part of employee engagement. I think employees that get selected appreciate that, become more engaged in the company, and learn as an outcome.
Okay, well, that's cool. So there was another thing that you shared as I was reading this article about you, and I thought it's not so much an alarming statement as much as it is something to really get you thinking about the state of the design industry as it pertains to labor and talent. But you said that we need to prepare for a labor shortage in the next 10 to 15 years, and I've been kind of screaming that to the mountaintops for a while now, but I'm just curious from your perspective, what do you think is going to happen, and what is and I should reference the fact that statement was made, and then you talked about the importance of connecting with this next generation of talent that's coming out of school, the quote unquote millennials that we talk about ad nauseum. But I think it's important that firms need to understand how to deal with that. So what is your general thought on that?
Well, I've learned that within 3 to 5 years, millennials will be the majority population in the workforce, and they quite frankly tick a little different than I do, and I think it's important to understand what engages a millennial, and given the demographics of our nation in terms of the baby boomers are retiring. The population rate is below 2.1 children per family, that there are going to be less people in the workforce. And it's estimated that in 10 years, there'll be a shortage of labor talent. In 15 years, there could be a shortage of actual labor bodies. So I think right now, recruiting good talent is critical to our firms. I believe if we wait, we'll be on the short end of being able to grow and recruit talent.
Yeah, I think that's important. You're absolutely right. I'm curious, are you doing anything even at the high school or junior high school level in your local area when it comes to like STEM programs and things of that nature?
We do. We do mentoring programs. We have a very active internship program, but I think a lot of firms do that, and that's very healthy. But we are very engaged in our community when it comes to helping out non-for-profits in our community. So, the city of Rochester has a real problem with poverty. And the graduation rate in the city school district, not the greater Rochester area, but the city school district is around 40%. So we go out seeking students in the city school just to get them an idea of what a professional atmosphere looks like. And hopefully get them, interested to some degree on, hey, maybe I want to be an architect or an engineer, It's a small step, but we try to do that to give back to the community. And I firmly believe that corporate culture is a strategic asset in terms of recruiting people. So we try to focus on that.
Okay. Well, that's awesome. So tell us about let's see. The other thing I wanted to mention, and I know you talked about it in that article, that interview, is you talked about the foundation for your organization. Would you mind just kind of sharing with us the 4 cornerstones, if you will, of Passero?
Yeah, we about 10 years ago, we the partners, along with some consulting help, actually developed what we call the strategic framework to our company. And we identified what's important to us. We identified, of course, we developed a vision statement and a mission statement, but then we looked at, we developed our 5 core values in which we practice and try to live by. But then we said, let's look at our critical success factors. What helps us become successful? What's critical? And we identified 4 cornerstones. It's our best people, work environment cornerstone. It's what we call exceptional client service. It's outstanding results. And then it's growth and profitability. Our focus, quite frankly, are on best people and exceptional, on 3 of the cornerstones, I should say. And the client service, focusing on our people, and then also our outstanding results. Growth and profitability, I firmly believe, is an outcome of focusing on those three. And we developed the core competencies of what we want from our people based on those cornerstones. And I believe, I gotta be honest with you, it took me a little while to really wrap my arms around this and the importance of it. But I firmly believe that this has really helped us grow and be successful.
Okay, that's exciting. Well, I mean, I certainly, it sounds like you guys have really have it together, and it looks like the future is going to be bright for your organization. Is there anything that you guys have planned in the next couple of years? Any potential offices that you might open, or any other big plans that you guys are working on?
We don't open office. We haven't, I should say, strategically say we want to open an office here because the market looks good.
Right.
We take an opportunity in the market, develop a client, and then I'll open an office from that. I believe that over the next 3 years, that we'll probably open an office in Georgia because we're starting to develop airport clients in Georgia. And I think that will be the impetus for us to open an office there.
Okay. Now, what's the largest size airport that you guys have worked on, just out of curiosity?
Well, Greater Rochester International Airport, Albany International Airport, Dayton International Airport. But you bring up a good point. Our focus and the majority of our client base are smaller general aviation airports. They are all of them are part of a regional system of airports that are funded by the FAA through the Airport Improvement Program. So those grant fundings provide 75 to 95% of all costs of improvement. So it's a nice market to be in. They're long-term clients. Every year we get projects. But we focus more on the smaller airports. And let the big boys, AECOM and so on, go after the LAXs and the Port Authority of New York.
Well, it's like I always say. I mean, there's a niche for everybody, and once you find yours, you need to figure out a way to thrive within that niche. And you can do really well, as you guys have shown. So I think that's awesome. So, well, listen, I know we've talked a lot about your organization, but we want to learn a little bit about Wayne and who Wayne Wegman is. And I've got a couple of simple questions that we'll end our interview with, and hopefully we'll have some fun in the process.
Okay.
What was the last book that you read?
I read, what the heck did I read? I read Peter Thiel's book, which is 0 to 1. And the only reason I read it is to get a little better feel for what engages millennials. My son-in-law is doing a startup company, and he's from that mindset. He's in his late 20s, and so I thought, it'd be a book to read about and try to understand a little bit about the millennial mindset.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, well, Peter Thiel is an interesting individual, and I would say that obviously he has kind of established himself with PayPal, but it'll be interesting to see how his business model continues in the next couple of years when other competitors come out and give him a run for his money. So, but that's good. Where did you go on your last vacation?
Our last vacation, we went to Dominican Republic. We go to an area in the Dominican Republic that's not the Punta Cana resort area. It's more of a Dominican town. It's really a nice little area, and we like going up there.
Okay, so you've been there before?
Yes.
Oh, okay, awesome, very nice, very nice. Well, yeah, it's I'm sure because you guys have snow on the ground up there right now.
Not right now, but we did 2 days ago.
Yeah, I saw on the news. I was telling my wife, and I saw on the news that upstate New York got hit with some snow right before Thanksgiving, and I was like,
Yeah,
oh,
we
there
did.
you go. So that's why I moved from the Northeast. But man, I hope you guys have a mild winter. Although the weather forecasters are not saying that. So
No, they're not. They're
yeah.
not. And
So
the snow fell before all the leaves were down.
right, right.
So now I got a yard that's got a
Oh
bunch of wet
man.
leaves on
Oh,
it.
that's no good. That's no good. So, well, I wish you a lot of luck with that. So,
Okay.
my last question would be if you could binge watch one TV series, old or new, what would it be?
Well, what have I? Breaking Bad. I
Oh,
binge watched.
okay, okay.
Uh,
Everybody's tried to get me into that. I have not done it because I know I know the type of person I am. I would probably start watching it and never stop. So,
yeah.
yeah, so yeah.
I had a meniscus orthoscopic surgery on my knee, and came in and watched 7 episodes in a row.
Wow.
That's 7 hours.
Wow, that is.
That's
I
a
know.
little. That's a little
lot.
much.
That's a lot. Yeah, you
But
know.
it's that engaging of a series, at least for me, it was.
Yeah. What about Walter do you identify with?
I don't think any of
That's
them.
Bryan Cranston's character
Yeah,
on the
right. I
show. So
realize.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Hopefully not the one where he broke bad. Okay.
that's it. So well, before everything went south, he was a science teacher, right? So I
Yeah,
think
he's a
that was
science teacher and trying
so,
to
yeah.
help his family out, but things did go south
They
on
did
him.
go south. I can imagine. So, well, listen, man, I really, really appreciate it, Wayne. I mean, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to be with us on this Zweig Letter interview series. I'm sure we'll find time at some point in time to get you on the show again in the near future. And so, thank you so much for coming on board.
Well, thank you. It's actually an honor to be on your show, and I
Thank you.
appreciate the time you've taken to
Oh,
talk.
absolutely. And listen, folks, as a reminder, all Zweig Group media programs like this one are available in both podcast and video format, free for download. That's right, I said it, free. You can get it on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play, YouTube, just to name a few places. And we'd like to thank you for watching this on video or listening to the podcast by offering you a free subscription to the Zweig Letter for 6 weeks. Just visit freetzl.zweiggroup.com. That is freetzl.zweiggroup.com. A link to all of this information will be in our show notes. And we would love it if you would share this link with a friend. We really appreciate you guys so much. I'm Randy Wilburn, and you've been listening to Zweig Group Media, part of Zweig Group. Remember, we exist to make you more successful.
Thanks for tuning in to this special edition Zweig Letter podcast. We hope that you can apply Mark's no-holds-barred advice to your daily professional life. For a free 6-week subscription of the Zweig Letter, please visit freetzl.zweiggroup.com to gain more wisdom and inspiration, in addition to information about leadership, finance, HR, and marketing your firm. Subscribe today.